Alright, just going to show you how to take off the carburetors on a 81 CB750. These are the super fun CV carbs, not like they had on the single overhead cams. Anyways, for these bikes, first you have some on the insulators. You want to take these the screws that hold these clamps on. I find it's best just to take them straight off. Screw there, all the way through on each carb. On the air boots, it's much less secure, so I just find I loosen that. That one's already loosened. I haven't loosened these. I've loosened the air boot carbs already. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you how these pop off. Alright, so loosen these. Now the next thing is take this bolt here and you loosen it just using a 10mm box wrench. I've already loosened it, so it's good to go. And then unscrew, get it nice and loose. You can even take it all the way up, but then you'll have to put it back. What you're going to be doing is kind of gripping the air box here on both sides. So I find it best if I actually sit on the bike. I won't be able to do that holding the camera, but I sit on the bike, I grab this with both hands and pull it all the way back. There isn't a lot of room here, so you're kind of like smushing a bunch of things in. Shouldn't be too afraid of anything. What you do is you want this this bolt here kind of slides along this slot here. Will end up about here. Once it's here, you tighten it right up, and then your air box is pulled all the way back. Alright, so pulled the air box back. It's no longer, the bolt is no longer here. It's here. Retighten it down. It's not all the way back, but I find I don't need actually all of the space. You may or may not. I just didn't want to fight with it for the last little tiny bit. Now you can see there's not a ton of space here. You'd have a really difficult time if you tried to just pull the carbs out with that much room. So what I do is I find if I can kind of pull these clamps off, just put it in the gear shifter to make them easy to remember where they are. Actually push this boot. You can either take the boot right off, or you can just kind of like, these should be pretty supple. If they're not, you might need new ones if they're really hard. Just kind of pop it inside the air box. It just kind of like hangs out on the lip there, and now I have tons of room. These hoses I kind of pull off, and I pull them and put them under there, and I just work my way across to do all four. Alright, so now the hoses are out of the way. The air boots are pushed into the air box, so now I have a fair amount of room there. What I'm going to do now is actually sit on the bike. And remember, these are completely loose. So I sit on the bike, just the seat's off, but that's okay. And I'm going to be kind of pulling these back and rotating them down. When they rotate down, they'll just kind of like pop out. If you have really old stiff boots, this might you might actually, really old stiff insulators. These insulators may even crack. If so, you absolutely needed to replace them quite a long time ago. But keep an eye on them. They were bound to fail. If it's a 31-year-old bike and it's the original insulators, it's a good idea to replace them anyways. Otherwise, you're very likely going to be running into some vacuum leak issues. Anyways, so you take this, pull back with both hands, and as you're sitting on it, so you get quite a bit of leverage. Sometimes I even need to put my feet kind of up either. Actually, I put them usually down around these. Another side, so I can have tons of leverage, and I just kind of, again, pull back, rotate down. Okay, so now I sat on the bike, I pulled and rotated down, and they popped right out, so that's no problem. Now I just need to kind of pull them back a little bit like this. They're still attached by the cables here. I think it's possible to disconnect them while it's in this position, but I find it to be much easier if I kind of rotate them out a little bit. Make sure you have drain the floats of all the gas via the screws. You can do that still at this point, but I probably should have done it before. Should have mentioned that. Anyways, you take this, rotate it out so it's kind of up on its side. So instead of being like this, they're kind of rotate it out. That, if you can see my hand, so instead of that, they're like that. Then you can really easily get access to those, the throttle cable and the choke cable, and disconnect them. Alright, so now the carburetors are sitting up on their side. There's the choke cable there. Then the easiest way to deal with this is just to unscrew this little bolt here. This cable comes loose. Then I can kind of pull it down and unhook it. It's just hooked underneath this little guy here. Pretty straightforward. Over on the throttle cable side, you're going to need two 10mm wrenches. Just kind of flip around. You're going to need the open sides to access. There should be, two bolts that you can see. It's kind of hard to make it out. I'll get a better view of that. Okay, so choke cable's off, piece of cake, no problem. Now here you're going to need you can see, and it's a better view with the light. You're going to need those two 10mm boxes, or open-ended wrenches. From here, if I can get this one hand, just in there, you want to loosen this one, keep that one steady. This will, essentially, you want to be able to pull this thing right out there, and then again, same thing on this side. Once you do that, you'll be able to lift the throttle mechanism up, and then be able to unhook it. Okay, so this I've loosened quite a bit. Let's see if I can just kind of, actually, let's see, it's just freely spinning. It almost wants to pop off on its own. There, just got a little pressure behind it. Got that popped out. Now I have to kind of rotate this way. And once I do, I can't actually know how to do that. So it's hard to do this with one hand. So I just get this under here. There. And that side of the cable popped out. And when I do the other side of the cable, I'm actually going to have to rotate the throttle mechanism up like that a bit in order to be able to free it. I won't be able to show that with just one hand. Okay, so there you have it. The 3 cables left, and then your carburetors in your hand, ready to be cleaned. Unstick that valve, unstick that float valve. Good to go.